Hello everyone, welcome to Vishnu IAS Academy and a very heartily welcome to the daily news protocol of the Hindu newspaper analysis of the Delhi edition. Today we are going to see the news articles for the date 31st March of 2022. Listed are the topics to be discussed for today. Now let's move on to the first topic, ISRO to set up tracking of space debris. You can see the page numbers of your Delhi edition for your reference, and it comprises the syllabus part of your GS3. Okay, moving forward, if we can see the news article ISRO, the space junk is the main concerning part. In recent years, the analysis and the research in the space areas is increasing, and also the ASAT experiments are also being increased. So that's why the space debris being formed should be cleared, and also India need to protect its satellites from the space junks and the ASAT experiments. So in that regard, the ISRO is planning to launch some tracking mechanisms, the orbital debris tracking mechanisms under the project NETRA. Those are nothing but the new radars and the optical telescopes. These two things are to be established and launched in that area to save our programs in that space. Okay, so if we can consider the NETRA project, what is it? It is nothing but the early warning system, the network for space objects tracking and analysis project. It is nothing but to intimate our governments and ISRO about any objects that are coming towards our Indian programs in the space. Okay, so if we can consider the specifications of these radars, there are two such radars are being planned to be deployed, which are to be deployed apart from 1000 kilometers from its source, and also its range will be 1500 kilometers. Okay, and also apart from the radars, there would be optical telescope also. They can also be deployed. And also, if we see the functions of these things, they would do research, they would do function in the area surveillance and tracking networks. And also it will identify objects ranging from the size 10 centimeters and above. Okay, and also this mechanism is indigenously designed and built. Moving forward, and also these radars and optical telescopes should work by identifying the orbital junk and the space object. Okay, so if we can consider any ASAT, if it could identify any ASAT programs conducting by other nations, it will inform our ISRO. Okay, earlier there is a program like this called multi-object tracking radar, but it is of limited range. So that's why we are going to launch another larger program which could work till 1500 kilometers range. Now let's move on to the next topic. India's food response as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is nothing but an outlook of a Vedic civilization. Right from a Vedic civilization, our traditional philosophies consider the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is nothing but the earth is one single family. The word Vasudhaiva means the earth. Okay, so if we can consider the India and other emerging and developing nations should consider all the world nations as a family and should fight against all the world crises and problems as a single collective. That is the main theme of this article of today. And India has greatly achieved in this area, where it has come from the chronic food shortage to surplus producer. It has become surplus producer. How could it achieve like that? How could India achieve? What areas, in what areas India has focused? If we can study all those, there are so many problems in world right now. Climate crisis, COVID-19 pandemic shocks, and conflicts and poverty and inequalities and unemployment, so on and so forth. There are so many problems out there in the world presently. And also, when SDGs are announced, has put a target to solve some of these problems, but the global hunger is still rising year by year. If we can see the statistics here, from the year 2019 and 2014, the chronic hunger has risen, and the people has undergone under these are still 43 million more. Hence, there is a need to address these collective crises. The solution should be in a collective manner, considering the entire globe as a family. So now let's see what is the India's role. What can India, in which ways India can help the other nations? Like that, if we can see, there are two areas in which India has helped other nations. It has given assistance, being a part of the United Nations Food Program. It has helped Afghanistan specifically by transferring foods to Afghanistan, wheat. Okay, and also it has given some self-sufficiency. In that area also, it has worked by giving the food assistance. Okay, by doing all these works, we can address the malnutrition, global food prices, and there is urgent food assistance, all these areas should be addressed. Okay, India is working in all these areas. So, in the age of this crisis, India, as experiencing the long journey by overcoming this problem, India is standing as an ideal to the world nations. So, works done by India can be considered. These are nothing but land reforms, public investments. There are lack of public investments in many other nations. So, public investments plays a key role to improve and encourage its economy, and also institutional infrastructure plays a crucial role also, and new regulatory systems. India managed to regulate its economy by things like license Raj and land reforms and other regulations, and investment, some restrictions in the investment areas, some initiatives also loosening. So, according to the time, according to the requirement, India is changing its mechanism and its governance, and also the public support, intervention in agri markets and prices, agri research. These areas also played very crucial role in this growth. Okay, that's why the India has stood as a role model to the other all over nations. Moving forward, let's move on to the next topic. There is a prisoners identification bill which was recently approved by the Lok Sabha. What is this prisoners identification bill? It is nothing but the identification of prisoners in a more prescribed way, in a more specific way. Earlier, the details of prisoners would be taken in two ways only, the photo and signature. would be taken. But now, as per this new bill, this bill suggests to take photo identity, photos and signatures, along with that some impressions like finger and palm and foot, and some behavioral details like handwriting, okay, and also some reading capacities. All these things would be collected from the prisoners. Don't you think that is some kind of privacy breach? Of course it can be. Why? Because as they are the prisoners, there could be some incidents where the authorities or policemen manage them and force them to give their details. So that's why there are some concerns raising against this bill. Let's see what are those concerns. The privacy and data safety. The entire data collected like this can be breached. So that's why there should be some safety measures to save this data collected earlier, prior to this bill agreed. Okay, so that's why if we can consider in which areas the privacy can be breached, there are some constitutional promises in our constitution to our privacy. As Supreme Court has told in the case K.S. Puttaswamy, privacy is to be considered as a fundamental right. The privacy, a person's individual privacy should be considered as a fundamental right. And also as per the Article 23, it protects the right against self-incrimination. It is also similar to the self-incrimination right. There can be some areas where the prisoners can be detained in the police custody before their confirmation of the offence. So in those cases also there are chances to force those prisoners to give their personal details. So these challenges should be addressed before approving this bill. And also a strong protection law, a strong data protection law should be reframed, should be enacted to save all these concerns. Moving forward, the next news article is on the new bill on chartered accountants and cost and works accountants and the company secretaries bill 2021. The new bill on these three areas was recently introduced in the union houses. In 1949, the Chartered Accountant Act was formed. These will be amended with the new bill, which is to be approved further. And also the ICA. What is ICA? The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Okay, it governs the chartered accountants of all over India. So that's why the ICAI is being considered as a monopolistic body while conducting or while considering any regulations regarding the chartered accountants. So to dilute its powers and authorities, the bill is proposing some new proposals. So let's see what are those proposals. The disciplinary committee, which is under the ICAI, will be charged from now onwards with a non-chartered accountant. It is important. A non-chartered accountant will be charged the committee of disciplinary functions. And also its elected council members will no longer be in a majority. Their majority will be reduced. And also the term of the ICAI, the term, we are going to discuss the term and the consecutive terms. Term means the council will be in function for 3 years, but it is now raised till 4 years. Its term is raised till 4 years. And also now if we can consider the consecutive terms, means then after completion of these 4 years, the next term, the next coming 4 years and the next coming 4 years, this is the consecutive terms, right? That is reduced from 3 to 2. Only 2 consecutive terms will be allowed to this ICAI council. And also the ICAI secretary, the secretary of ICAI will replace the ICAI president as its chief executive. Okay, he would be as chief executive. And also it will appoint its auditor from the CAG. Now, the new auditor who is going to be appointed in CAI as auditor will be from CAG. Okay, these are all the new important proposals. With all these functionaries, the ICAI functionary as a whole mandatory body to conduct the exams of chartered accountants, and in all other areas the monopolistic role of ICAI will be diluted a little. Okay, moving forward, there is a standing committee. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance has suggested some changes and has further recommended some changes of monopoly in certification. The earlier idea, which is to be approved by the bill, is also supported by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance. Okay, if we can consider the NFRA, the National Financial Reporting Authority, NFRA, has been set up in 2018 as India's first independent regulator of accounting and auditing. It is some fact regarding this topic, as we are studying about the chartered accountants and all. It is a first of its type independent body in the field of accounting and auditing, which was constituted in the year 2018. Clear? Moving forward, let's move on to the next topic. That is nothing but the area of gig workers. In recent years, as we have seen so many lockdowns because of COVID pandemic crisis, the important role played by the gig workers has increased a lot. So the gig platform organizers, specifically the CEO of Zomato, has recently announced that the delivery time would be reduced to 10 minutes. Okay, good enough. The all people of our nation will feel happy. Why? Because our food will be delivered within 10 minutes. But at cost of what? Who will deliver that food within 10 minutes? Who will get pressurized? The gig workers, the platform workers, right? Why? Because the gig workers are freelancers. As they are freelancers, there would be any job security for them. There would be so much of pressure on them for their work, for their income. So that's why if we put some conditions like this, the gig worker, the delivery boy which we see every day, will have to work more swiftly, will have to work more hours to deliver that food within 10 minutes. So this is the concern raised by our experts on Zomato's CEO to reconsider that condition. Of course, later on he has cleared that we will promise to reduce the burden on the gig workers. He has promised that. On this backdrop, let us study some details about gig workers. The speed and cost cuts. These 2 points are very important. The speed and cost cuts will get affected if the authorities put such conditions. It will risk his life, as they don't get any life insurance from their company, as they are the freelancers. Okay, and also there would be some cost cuts on their payments. If the pressure is, and also why, because if there would be huge competition raised, as the availability of gig workers will be huge, the cost cuts will be higher to fulfill that competition. So that's why the work intensity, freedom to quit the job, the low gross earnings, all these things are the concerns of these gig workers. So we need to address all these things. Clear? Moving forward, let's learn the definition of gig workers. Who are the gig workers? He is a person who works temporary jobs. Simple. He works for temporarily. Typically in the service sector. Okay, as an independent contractor or a freelancer. That means what? He can join any job at any time, and also he can quit that job anytime. But considering the realities, the quitting of the job is not in the hands of the gig workers. The conditions of the companies are being like that. So here the gig worker is again being pressurized because there is no freedom to quit his job at any time. And also if we can consider any new employment, the gig economy companies are responsible for 56% new employment. So that's why there is a lot of employment in this sector. We need to consider the gig economy and the safety of the gig workers is a very urgent condition. And also the social insurance security, as we have discussed earlier, and other benefits will not be promised for these employees. Clear? Moving forward, let's move on to the next article. PMJAY, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. It is recently in news. Let's learn some facts regarding this. It is launched in 2018. It is one of the main component of ABP, Ayushman Bharat program. One is PMJAY and other is HWC. Okay. So if we can consider any comprising areas, the health insurance is can be addressed, can be given in 3 areas: primary, secondary and tertiary healthcare. But if we consider the PMJAY, the financial protection will be given in the secondary and tertiary level health sectors. Okay, and also this scheme is of a largest government funded health insurance in the world. Okay, it will give 5 lakh rupees per annum per family. Give means it will provide some insurance, health insurance, which costs 5 lakhs. And also there is no cap on family. Here it is giving to family, right? There will be, there won't be any. And the NHA, recently the National Health Authority is bringing some new steps, a twin-pronged approach to increase the performance of these ABP and PMJAY. It is promising to focus on the identification, beneficiary identification and hospital utilization. Recently, the news is on that NHA has promised to focus more on the beneficiary identification and hospital utilization. Okay, these are all the news articles for today. Try to revise all the news articles we are discussing every day, and have a nice day. Prepare well, and let's meet on another interesting session on tomorrow. Thank you.